Welcome Aries to your high voltage Mars square Pluto deep dive video. Across the 20th to the 30th of May, one of astrology's most volatile and tension building aspects reaches a peak on the 26th. But what would it mean for you personally, Aries? I'm going to share your event chart of the exact moment this aspect occurs, but also the other planetary influences. At the end of the video, you'll have a clearer understanding of how to work with the energy in terms of your vitality, your job, your finances, and also your relationships. I'm astrologer Patrick Arundel. A very warm welcome. If you've yet to subscribe to my channel, please do so now to help it continue to thrive. But please also click or tap the bell notification symbol. Mars and Pluto are the co-rulers of the intense sign of Scorpio. Mars, the traditional ruler, Pluto, the modern higher octave ruler. Mars is very much your ruler about action, desire. It can be about instant gratification, certainly about confidence and courage. It's about our identity, our physical self, but it can also be about anger. Pluto, very much about the underworld, but it can also be about how we're evolving. If we go with the energy of Pluto, it can be very positive. But in the sign of Taurus, Mars is much more minded to think about life foundations. Possessions can be our money, can be our sense of self-worth and values. Why not? But it's a fixed sign, so it is resistant to change. Pluto is the agent of change, but in the fixed sign of Aquarius, very futuristic and has an impact on us all collectively because it is the planet of the collective in the sign of community. So what's going to come up over this particular 10-day period is a true awareness that things are shifting at such a pace, but how does it feel for us? And if we're resisting that change, that can create tension. If we go with it too quickly, it's still creating a huge amount of uncertainty. On the screen is your event chart, and you can see that Mars at 5 degrees 25 and Pluto in its retrograde at 5 degrees 25 too. But if we look at the other planetary players, I think it's important to be mindful of the ruler of the sign of Taurus, which is Venus. And Venus is actually in a really positive link to Mars. So if we're wanting to enjoy the good things in life, Mars has an appreciation for that in Taurus. That link to Venus in Cancer is really enabling and nurturing. But if we look at the position of the moon, always important in an event chart, it's on the seventh house cusp and in a delicious conjunction with the path of fortune. Now, the moon in Libra likes balance and it also likes equilibrium. And it can be very democratic. It also forges a fantastic link to Pluto, a trine, and links back to the Sun, also a trine. So we have a grand air trine. So what we need to do to navigate this event is talk. And the collective in the sign of Gemini is really the outlet for the tension that could build up. So if we can keep the dialogue going, that's going to be very valuable. But look at the position of Venus in relation to Saturn and also more broadly Neptune, and then Venus to the moon. So here we have a T square, and particularly the moon in an opposition to Neptune can create a disorientation, a confusion. The moon in an opposition to Saturn can create a real sense of fearfulness potentially. We may feel really quite inhibited in some way, but we can feel that very strongly through the emotional dimension of Venus in the sign of Cancer. So as much as we can talk, and it's good to talk, we also need to talk with an awareness of how things feel. But if you do encounter someone over the next 10 or 12 days who's very intransigent, very dogmatic, very determined to use might over right, it could arouse within you a very fiery response, quite understandably. But it's also important to understand your own approach to situations, how you're relating to people. Because as much as we all want stability, the fact is the world is changing at such a rate of knots. It is a bit scary. And I feel that this event could bring that whole concept to the fore. But also because Mars can unfortunately be about war, and Pluto can definitely be about the use and abuse of power. It's possible that there could be some kind uh, of kicking off in terms of the international scene. We've seen quite a lot of it, of course, in recent months, but there could be a reignition. But you can work with Mars Pluto energy well. But the critical thing, being both in fixed signs, is to try to flex. And that's where that Gemini energy is so strong. And the Sun's link to Pluto in particular is really good for trying to see the goodness in change, but also being open to it rather than resisting it. I'm going to go through those 4 areas of vitality, your job, your relationships and finances next. But just to say, I've slashed the price of my personal horoscope reports. It's now 3 for the price of 1. The one you pay for is your life roadmap report. Helps us to understand the patterns that are played out in our lives so far, get a more intimate understanding of them, but also work with those energies better future forwards. 3 is your 12-month transit forecast and also your draconic soul karmic analysis. If you know your natal chart and your north node is late in Pisces or early in Aries, you wouldn't see a great deal of change in your draconic chart. But if it isn't, there or can be extremely different. And it helps us to look at ourselves, life and astrology in a very deep and profound way. Please see below for more. If you've yet to watch your Mars in Taurus 6-week forecast, please see that on the screen. If you've yet to watch your Uranus 78-year solar return Kazemi video, that's on the screen too. If you would like to work with me one-to-one, it would be an absolute pleasure. Please see my testimonials below. And if you've yet to take advantage of my free daily written horoscope fired to your device each morning, please do so now. Get your early day celestial pit stop. I feel when it comes to your professional situation, Pluto in the 11th house is suggesting that the change that's going on suggests you need to be as adaptive as possible to work collectively with people. You can still flag up your individual talents, but being open to that, I think, is very important. Having that collective in the sign of Gemini, including the quick-witted ruler of the sign, Mercury, and the electric vibe of Uranus, is another idea of where we are as a society. It's shifting, and if you can take a leading role and inject your passion and enthusiasm, that will see you do well in your profession. When it comes to your finances, it could be that you have just an outright difference of opinion with someone who's got different values to you. It could be your partner. You both have different ideas about what the budget's spent on. It may be that they're not wanting to pay you at work as much as you feel you're worth. Or it could be with a friend, the 11th house, very much about friendship. So that's where the tension point can come up around money. But it does require us at times to stand in our power. So if someone's being unfair, do push back. As far as relationships are concerned, I think this can be a very flirty time for you. And if you are a very sociable Aries and you're not seeing anyone at the moment, the more you interact, the better it's going to be. But you could become more aware of the power politics in any kind of group dimension. When it comes to an ongoing relationship, if there is a bit of a shift going on between who seems to hold a little bit more of the authority, that can be quite challenging and perhaps a little bit scary in some ways, but try to go with that too. It's all about just flexing, keeping the dialogue going. That's the critical thing. As far as your energy is concerned, for sure, with Saturn and Neptune in your first house, you're only going to have a certain degree of vitality at this time. And it's all about pacing yourself. Thank you so much, Aries. It's been a real pleasure being with you. All the best, and look forward to seeing you again soon.